Hi everyone, this is Raul Harad. I am the CEO of DeepSafe, and we're here with another stream. And today I wanted to discuss something that might seem a little bit out of topic from what we usually talk about, but it's actually one of the hot topics in terms of blockchain. And as you'll see, it does relate to what we do in DeepSafe. So the topic I wanted to talk to you about is the future of blockchain-based streaming. So we've seen some changes in terms of how creators are compensated, on how copyright is managed. And then we have a lot of DAOs that are actually being used for community governance. So blockchain native streaming can solve a long-standing problem in creator economies, which is opaque payments, slow payouts, fractured rights of the metadata. And so what it does is it combines real-time programmable payments and tamper-evident rights registries and tokenized community-driven governance. So several live projects already prove parts of the stack. So we have Audius, Live Peer, Royal, Superfluid. But adoption is a hybrid off-chain UX and an on-chain settlement is still common. So in terms of creator compensations, there's a few models and trade-offs that we've identified. The first one is direct fan to creator payments, right? And this is the usual one-off purchases or tips, subscriptions where it's paid in crypto or stable coins, and it enables near instant settlement and lower platform take. And Audius, for example, has implemented an on-platform USDC payment with a community split model, so 10% community treasury. And this reduces dependence on ads and split economies. Now, the pros are that it's fast settlement, there's transparent splits, better discoverability of top supporters, and of course, you have cons. One of them is the crypto UX friction that still exists, and then the fiat conversion and the regulatory complexity. Another trend that we've seen is tokenized monetization. So artist tokens, fan tokens, NFTs that we had that craze in the past. And really what we see there is that artists issue tokens or NFTs representing perks, fractional royalties, access, different kind of let's say advantages that go with it. And so fans hold and stake in the artist's future revenue, so used by platforms like Royal, for example. And the token or NFT model aligns incentives, but requires liquid secondary markets to be valuable, right? So if there is no secondary market for the token, then really there's not much market value or none at all. Then what we've seen, another trend is in micropayments or per second streaming payments. And this is something that we've seen with Superfluid and with Sablier or Lockup. And it lets a platform stream value continuously, pay by the second, for live content or pay contributors in real time. DAOs and platforms are already trailing this for grants and contributor pay. And this model is great for pay per minute listening or for live events. Now, the pros are that it's fair compensation that aligns to consumption. It's flexible for time-based content. The cons, though, are, of course, gas fees and overhead. So this can be mitigated by roll-ups and layer twos, as we've discussed. But there is a need for user wallets or custodial rails. And then finally, the other trend that we're looking at is a bit of a hybrid off-chain UX and on-chain settlement. So practical systems that keep UX very simple, so like a credit card checkout, in-app wallets, things like that. And the settlement of large reconciliation is done on-chain. So we have Merkle proofs and batch payments. Audios, as I mentioned, is a market that moves in this direction on platform payments, but with community treasure mechanics. So as I mentioned, 10% goes to a community treasury. Practical trade-offs to design around, of course, liquidity and convertibility for creators. Stablecoins play a big role in helping with this. We have, of course, compliance, which includes the KYC and AML when fiat rails are used. And then we have the UX, right? So social logins and custody options to reduce onboarding friction. In terms of copyright and rights management, we have, of course, a lot of benefits that come from using blockchain as well as limitations. So, in terms of, let's say, the positives, we have the immutable timestamps and the provenance. So, recording content hashes on chain that creates verifiable evidence of creator and ownership. And this is useful for DMCA like claims, so provenance and provenance-based discovery. So academic and applied systems have prototyped this. It's still not widely, let's say, adopted, but it is on the works and being developed. We have on-chain licenses via smart contracts, where smart contracts can encode licensing rules, so who can play at what price, revenue splits, territory constraints, and the automated royalty splits are enforced by contract code instead of manual accounting. And as you can imagine, this reduces the time a lot, as well as the need for human involvement and complicated calculations. And then the other thing that we've seen, of course, in terms of advantages, are decentralized rights registries, where these are public registries or permission chains, where you can store metadata in a standardized schema, enabling discovery and automated licensing. Now, of course, we have some limitations. The first one being the off-chain data and canonical truth. So actual content files and third-party metadata often live off-chain. So you need reliable oracles and registers, and sometimes human workflows for disputes. Legal recognition. So, of course, in many jurisdictions, you still require filings of copyright offices, and in copyright offices, and have established dispute processes. Blockchain evidence complements, but does not yet replace legal registration in many places. And then we have complex rights stacks, right? So music and film rights include many players, many parties, from writers to producers, publishers. So smart contracts must map multi-party rights accurately, and governance for updates. So splits change over time that must be supported. As I mentioned, the other thing we've seen are DAOs and community governance for streaming platforms. So DAOs fit in terms of platform policy and curation. So token holders can vote on moderation policies, on featured content, marketplace fees. As I mentioned, Audius is an example of community-run streaming network where community economics matter. We have treasury management and public goods funding. So platform fees or a portion of on platform fees can flow to a community treasury, which funds grants, playlist curations, or developer bounties. We have contributor compensation. So DAOs can stream funds to contributors, host bounty programs. We've seen this, for example, in Superfluid with a combination of DAOs that are already being used for continuous payments. In terms of governance models and mechanics for this, we have the token weighted voting, which simply it's simple, but it does risk plutocracy. This is when you have a concentration of votes and you have a few that will manage the system. We have quadratic voting reputation systems, and this helps because what it does is it'll take the number of, let's say, tokens that have a vote, and it might do, let's say, the square root or the cube root, and it'll help flatten the curve in terms of voting power and make things a little bit more democratic. We have delegated governance where users delegate votes to curators or committees, and this helps with obviously faster decision making. And then we have on-chain proposals with off-chain signaling, which is obviously a hybrid that is practical for balancing speed and costs. One of the things that is important to keep in mind when it comes to DAOs is legal issues. So, in terms of large DAOs, sometimes they face regulatory questions, things like securities laws, taxes on treasury flows, and research suggests that off-chain voting has measurable funding valuation impacts for DAOs. So, governance designs materially affect outcomes. In terms of technical building blocks, in terms of the stack, what we see is content hosting, so decentralized storage, or a hybrid CDN for low latency playback. Identity and reputation, which is very important. We see decentralized identities, so ENS-like names, on-chain reputation for creators, payments, so tokenized payments, stable coins for fiat parity. This is something that, of course, we've seen a lot and deal with in DeepSafe on a daily basis. Rights registry, so on-chain hash plus off-chain canonical registry with Oracle updates, so that you really have an updated registry, not only on-chain, but also off-chain that is recognized by authorities. And then you have the governance layer with DAO tooling and treasury management. Uh, in terms of risks and non-technical, let's say, barriers, of course, we have the user experience friction. It's still wonky. We have onboarding wallets, gas fees. This could be mitigated by account abstraction layer twos and custodial fiat on-ramps, but still, it's not the best experience. It needs to improve. Of course, as always, we have regulatory and tax complexity. So creators receiving crypto have tax and KYC implications, and platforms must design compliance-aware rails, especially when we're talking about fiat on-ramps and off-ramps and KYC modules. Another one is dispute resolution. So smart contracts can't always interpret intent, and as we know, that can be something that makes a difference when it comes to disputes. So you have to kind of bake into the contracts some sort of arbitration, and really this becomes more of a off-chain situation unless there is an on-chain mechanism that could help handle these disputes. Then you have IP enforcement. So courts and platforms still control takedowns, and blockchain evidence helps, but it doesn't automatically enforce removals. Now, in terms of concrete experiments and roadmaps, excuse me, so practical next steps, if you were building, let's say, or advising a streaming project, a few of the things you have to consider in terms of a phased approach is, I would say, phase zero, so a prototype where you can launch a niche vertical with hybrid UX, so email and phone signups, custodial wallets, that kind of stuff. Use stable coins as payments, and keep simple token tipping, and then record content hashes and basic rights metadata on chain. Uh, Phase one, let's say, once we are ready for monetization, would be the upgrades, in which you add streaming payments for live sessions. You pilot with creators to test per minute pay and split contracts. Phase two would be the rights and secondary market. So this is when you enable tokenized licenses or NFTs for special releases. You might have, let's say, fractionalized royalties, um, and then you're allowed to start an on-chain rights registry and support the buy and sell, let's say, of rights where where regulatory friendly um, environments allow it. And then phase three, you're going to have governance, and this is where you'll have to sign up or have the user sign up for a governance DAO, and where make treasury decisions. So you'll stream a small percentage of the platform fee into the DAO treasury, and with this, you'll test proposal types, curation, grants, policies, and usually what happens is you'll end up using a hybrid voting system. Uh, just in terms of that, uh, one just conclusion, or just a thought to conclude, is that putting creator payouts, rights clarity, and community governance on programmable rails can materially increase creator take home. It makes things more fair. It reduces settlement latency, so it makes things faster. And it gives community a real seat on the table when it comes to distributing um, royalties, when managing IP, when making sure that things happen the way they should and funds are distributed the way they should. So this tech is already in use. As I mentioned, Audius, Live Peer, we have Royal, we have Superfluid and Sablier, who show some of these components. But the big challenge is still stitching those pieces into a smooth, regulatory resilient user experience that really has the right workflow and that allows content creators to have a good experience when it comes to monetizing their content through the use of blockchain. So with that, I'll leave you guys. We will talk soon. I will have another stream tomorrow as usual. So have a good day, a good evening, or a good night wherever you are.